Hi guys. So I'm starting a bit late because, as you know, I was going on holiday, and as we suspected, because I was going in a caravan in Wales, I wasn't going to get a signal, and that was the case. I ended up right at the back of the caravan park, no signal, like this, asking my son to come over with his phone all the time so I could get onto his hotspot. I just had to give up with it, so I didn't get back till like late this afternoon. So let's crack on. So yeah, this is about Wendy. Oh, by the way, so like next week it's going to be earlier. You've just got to forgive me, right? We haven't got to, but I hope you do. So this is all going to be about Wendy and just some of the extreme actions that I believe she took before the murder, during and after. So I'm going to do a quick disclaimer just to get it out of the way, and then we'll get into it. So my name's Dawn, you found Lounge Bar Crime. Everything you hear in this video is from my own research, it's my opinion, and it's for entertainment purposes only. That out of the way, let's get on it. Right, just a quick reminder. Once that divorce had gone through, it was only within 12 months that Dan was murdered. And that's pretty significant, really, because that's a bit of a coincidence that there was marriage problems that there was no solution to at all. There was a solution, but Wendy wouldn't agree to anything because it was only one way for Wendy, and that was for her to take them children to her mum and dad in Miami. She could swan off and her kids would be looked after, and it was never, I'm going to talk about that bribe in a minute, that was never going to happen, that bribe. Anyway, so Wendy would not play fair with Dan at all and do 50-50 with the kids. She wouldn't let him Skype the kids. We know all this. Anyway, before I start on about that bribe or anything like that, I'm going to go back to when I think Wendy not planned this murder, because at the early stages I don't think she felt that she could take it all the way to fruition, but I think she was certainly had something in the bag. She was putting wheels in motion when she wrote that book. And I know it wasn't all about her, but it kind of was. And I think the reason for that book was to be the victim. She was gaslighting her family. She knew her family and friends would read all this. Now, she didn't know how far she was going to be able to go, whether she just wanted full custody of the kids, or a better divorce deal. So what she was doing was she was putting all the wheels in motion so that she would be the victim. Yeah, there was a reason for that book. I have actually, I'll link it below, I have actually done a video with regards to Wendy and that book, and I don't even know why she's used herself on the cover of that book. Again, victim. Why would she not just use an actress? It proves just the fact that she's done that was to, it's like, oh, look at me. And I honestly thought she was so insulting to do that. And the way she did the peeping through as if she was wearing a burqa or something like that. Now, I've told you that I read a couple of the books. I'll bring them up on the screen. A couple of books. I read these books 25 years ago. So I'm not really ignorant to, I'm ignorant to a lot of things, believe me, but I'm not really ignorant to immigration and particularly young women being sold. Where Wendy is ignorant, though, is the fact that she's supposed to be aware of trafficking of women being sold, and she likened herself to one of them women. She can't even begin begin. Doesn't matter how many people she works with, she can't begin to understand what them women have been through. So that really riled me up when I saw just the cover of that book. I mean, even excerpts in it, I'll put one up, shows that she's, I suppose a lot of books have got, you know, sentences in like this, but because Wendy actually is like this, she you know, smiling sweetly and all this lot, it really highlights her personality, but it shows her conniving way and the victim in her as well, for her to, like I say, liken herself to somebody going through that, who's been through that, who's lived their lives like that. And she puts herself on the front cover like this, and that was so that friends and family would read this book and they would like, oh, you know, like, it seems as though she's writing about herself, you know, she must be really unhappy, she's a gaslighter. And that's what all that was. And the fact that she used that subject really, really pissed me off, and it pissed me off massively. Anyway, enough of that for a minute. Now this next bit, I'm surprised nobody came back to me on this, because I kept saying, I'll show you this, I kept saying this in videos yonks ago, when I first got on this case a couple of years ago, and nobody came back. It's my own fault, because if I'd have listened properly, I would have seen this. So just watch this. I don't think I'd be going for lunch with friends in the afternoon, last minute or not. And I'd like to know who arranged that last minute lunch meeting.
Okay. But the question was it between 8 a.m. and noon?
Yes, it was between 8 a.m. and noon.
All right. And did you leave your residence at all that day after you got the TV, or the TV man came?
After the TV repairman came, I did a little bit more work from home. I talked to a couple of friends, and then I made plans to have lunch with two friends that I frequently saw on Fridays.
Now, as I've said before, on that morning she was very, very busy, and I've done a video on that as well. But she was very, very busy, and so she arranged a last minute lunch, and then sort of like put in that it was something that they used to do. I don't know how far back they used to do that, but it's something that they used to do. So obviously, you know, you've got the TV man come in and everything else, and then she arranged a last minute lunch in her owl t-shirt. She went out for lunch in her owl t-shirt and a pair of shorts. Listen, I've done that loads of times. Actually, you know what, I haven't. I suppose it depends on where you're going. Now, maybe you can tell me. I don't. Was it Mosaic or somewhere like that? I don't know what that place is like, and I don't know how you would dress for somewhere like that. But she actually looked pretty rough, really. Not dressed up at all. It looked like she'd literally rushed about, although she didn't forget that the owl t-shirt. Don't forget, we're still looking for a name for Owl. She still had time to put that owl t-shirt on and everything, but I just felt that she looked a little bit underdone. Obviously, her head was a mess. She was going to the crime scene. She was getting the bullet bourbon and everything else. The other thing is as well, when she was on the stand with that, and Rashbourne was showing that invite. This is on Charlie's trial I'm talking about. He kept opening up the invite. Now, he said, what does it say in the corner? And it says to bring a bottle of bullet bourbon. Now, if I missed this, but I didn't hear where there was a list in there and she ticked the list, or that her invite said, please can you bring a bottle of bullet bourbon. It looked like there was an invite there, and it looked like, from what I can pick up from it, I think that she wrote, must take a bottle of bullet bourbon, because she's saying that's what they asked for. Now, I don't know how honest these people are going to be, whether they've rewrote a list or the police have that list already. I don't know. It's not been mentioned, which it wouldn't be, because even if it was on file, obviously Georgia Kappelman would be keeping that for, I was going to say a rainy day, but it won't be a rainy day, the day Wendy gets picked up. And believe you me, Wendy is going to get picked up. Yeah, so there was hardly a minute where she wasn't doing anything. As I said, even when she was at the crime scene, she was on the phone to somebody in the UK, which would have probably been WhatsApp. So she made sure every minute was taken up. These are just all too many coincidences. I know you just know all these. Don't worry, I'm getting there. But there's just too many coincidences, and in crime, there's no coincidences in crime. You have to investigate them all. And it's like Kappelman says to Charlie, actually, you know, just another coincidence. There's just too many coincidences. Incidentally, I'm just going to sidetrack here because this is all about Wendy. You know I've done Charlie's, but you know what I did forget to mention in Charlie's when I did Charlie's video was that when that trial first started, so did he was boring as shit so far as I was concerned. I was like, practically, if I hadn't been interested in the case or had a concern with the case, I think I would have been asleep because he was boring. And I've got to say, I wanted Georgia Kappelman to pick up the pace a bit, and then she got going because I didn't think she did with McManaman ever, to be fair. And I've always said that I'm always honest. I won't just follow whoever, because you can't get me in. I'm in the UK, so I can say what I want. No, but seriously, I don't really I don't always follow what I don't follow my leader. I say what I think, and I've always said that I felt like this has gone on too long, and Georgia Kappelman shouldn't have been doing other cases. They should have been moving a lot faster, only for Ruth and Phil and Shelley's sake. And I still say that now, even though I think her and Sarah Duggan are doing a brilliant job. They are, but I'm sure there's other ways around this. Anyway, yeah, when she started on with Charlie's case, I was like, and then I felt like she got what I've been looking for in her. She got like really passionate and really challenged Wendy this last time on the stand and everything. And yeah, I thought, now we're getting somewhere. Oh, I don't mean that to sound rude, like she's not got anywhere, of course she has, but I just thought, yeah, because this, Wendy's going to need this. Georgia Kappelman's going to need to do this with Wendy. It's brilliant that she's doing that now. Anyway, so we know also she arranged that last minute lunch, and then something else struck me that I've not really picked up on. Just listen to what he says here.
Wanted her to come get the car. I think there was something wrong with the car.
There was something wrong with the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And you had 2 interactions with these guys about a month apart, is that right?
Yes.
And the time that there was something wrong with the car, was that the first time or the second time or both?
It was both times.
Both times they had car trouble?
Yeah.
All right. So the first time that they had car trouble, is that when you overheard this conversation in the motel room?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what were they saying about the car?
It wasn't nothing. I just heard that she can come get the car, basically. Like, just back
Okay.
down.
Do you remember their exact words?
No.
Did they seem like angry about it? Like she can come get the car if she wants to get the car?
No.
Can't say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they identify who the woman was that they wanted to come get the car?
No.
All right. Did they tell you what the car trouble was?
No.
All right. And I want to fast forward you to about a month later. Did you see these men again?
Yes.
And what were the circumstances of you running into them this second time?
I heard them on the side of the road, flagging me down, saying they needed help. Can you take them to get a part for the car?
All right. They were on the side of the road?
Yeah.
What road?
Monroe.
Monroe Street?
South Monroe, yeah.
Okay. And they flagged you down? Which one or both?
The taller one.
Taller guy? And was the taller guy with the same shorter gentleman
Yeah.
that you'd seen before?
Yes.
Was anybody else with them either time?
No.
We've already seen this before where he mentions about the lady, and we know it can't be Mag Banner because Mag Banner was in Miami. So we don't know who this lady is. It's possible that he's not given any details, but it's possible that Rivera might give that information at Wendy's trial, because yeah, as I said, Wendy's going to have a trial. That's why they're not, it's not being delved into too much. But it's just weird that he mentions that street, because then you've got Wendy saying this.
Drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right. So
I
you
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay? So when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
and just drive by your old house.
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down.
The bribe. Let me tell you how I think I know, because I don't know nothing. But how I think I know. Wendy was never, ever going to accept that bribe. And it wasn't, the reason she didn't put it to Dan wasn't because she thought the bribe was ridiculous. I'll tell you why she didn't put it to Dan. She didn't want that as the result. That result would have meant she was paying out just over $300,000. And she didn't want that. She wanted money coming into her bank, not going out of her bank. At the time when Donna was saying all this in emails, I'll tell you what Wendy was doing. She was emailing her mother and phoning her up about Dan constantly. Said it before in another email. Didn't Donna even say, oh, I can't cope with this, I'm going to take a, whatever it is she takes, some tablet, and I'm going to bed. She couldn't cope. Wendy wore everybody down about Dan. We'll get on to Lacaz talking about it as well. He said it. She wore everybody down. She was this victim. So what she did to get these results, and I'll give you another example of her doing it as well later on. So what she did was she'd speak to her mother on the phone and then she'd send these long, laborious emails about Dan Markel. And once she'd wound her mother up, her mother would get on, reply, put all this, what she talks about with the uniform, putting him outside a church, offering this, you can be an actress, and then the bribe. Did Wendy answer them emails? No, not all of them. You know why she didn't? Because if she'd have answered, it wasn't anything to do with being caught, but if she'd have answered them emails, she wouldn't have got the effect she wanted to get off her mum and dad. She wouldn't have got the right effect. She wanted to wind her mother up. We've heard her admit on the stand and Charlie say, yeah, that Donna overreacts. She knows her mum. She knows what buttons to press. And she needed more than handing over money to Dan. No, Dan wouldn't have took it anyway, and she knew that. But there was a lot of the other things that Wendy didn't answer. Like I said, I'll give you other examples of her doing this for effect and how she does it. This is what I'm saying. Wendy is a gaslighter. These are the games that Wendy plays. Okay, it always comes under the umbrella of being a victim. So she doesn't answer every email. She just leaves it as though, oh, I can't, I don't know what to do. So, a mother is like, and then a mother believes, or she's absolutely useless. What is she going to do here? It's all going to go wrong. Dan's going to end up getting everything and getting the children, because she gives her the problem. She doesn't reply with answers to what Donna's saying. So Donna then takes it that she's this victim. She doesn't know how to run a life. So Donna feels like she's got to take it into her own hands. I did give like a bit of an analogy, I think about 2 years ago, where I said that my analogy on this case with these involved is that Wendy put the key in the ignition, Donna put her foot on the gas, and Charlie just didn't know how to brake. If you get my meaning on that, that is how I sum this up. Wendy is the maestro. She's not a maestro, she's the instigator of the lot of it. She had all this. She didn't know exactly where she was going with it, but she knew that she had to get certain things in check and gaslight everybody. And that's why, like as was saying, like it was like her favourite subject. Who wants to go out with somebody that's constantly talking about their ex-husband? No, nobody. But she would wear everybody down with it because she had to get that message home. But more so, her parents and Charlie. She acted like this victim. Listen, you don't work for immigration, or you're not a lawyer and then say, oh, I don't know how to run my own life, I don't know what to do here, mummy, what do I do? You don't do that. Somebody doesn't do that. So it was all gaslighting. And Donna, the idiot, like laundering the money because she's stupid. Right, do this, right, do that, and then runs to Charlie. And Wendy is like, bingo, bravo, I'm getting what I want. Now she's going to put the wheels in motion. Now, for Wendy, at this stage, I believe that Charlie had made the joke, about the TV, hiring the hitman, and that's when she became the biggest victim of all, because she knew her mum would go to Charlie, and she knew that Charlie would say, oh, we need to get rid of Dan Markel. And then she kept leaving it in their hands, and she kept pressing their buttons and then sitting there laughing, because they was going to pick up her dirty laundry and sort it all out for her. And that's what she got them to do. And that is exactly how I think Wendi Adelson played this right from the start. And I know that you all know that she's not innocent in this. I know not all of you have felt that from the start, but thankfully a lot have come round, and as they've seen her in action, they've said, oh, actually, this isn't adding up and that's not adding up. And a lot of people as well that was in her corner have actually gone off the scene, away from her, dropped her like a hot potato, because I think they either feel a bit ridiculous that they never saw it, or that they needed it pointing out to them. They shouldn't. They shouldn't feel like that. They've just been duped. That's all. I mean, she's a professional con woman. She's a professional con woman, in my opinion. She's been doing it a long time. I think she's been doing it from being a child. That's how she's wrapped her mum and dad around her finger. So, yeah, that's Wendi Adelson. Right, I'm going to give you another example of her doing this as well. Sorry, just before I get to this other one. I'm not trying to leave you in suspense or anything. I don't do all that. So you remember when she was on the stand? This is what she was doing before. When she was on the stand at Charlie's Trail, Rashborn went up and questioned Wendy. I don't know why he is trying to protect all the Adelsons, because to be frank with you, I don't think she gives a flying whatever if Rashborn tries to protect her or not, because she's already segregated herself away from the rest of the Adelsons. She's got a different lawyer, and there's a reason for that, and that was thought out long ago as well. That was so they weren't all on the same path. Okay? There were two separate things. That is so she could stand back and go, I didn't know they did that. If they was caught, she could stand back and say, well, I didn't know that they was going. And her lawyer has only got to defend her. She's, I really, I don't want to say she's smart. She's conniving. There's a difference. Because she's not so smart, is she? Because look at all this coming to light. But yeah. Anyway, just back to this with Rashborn. So, do you remember when she was on the stand and he said, did you apply to view 40 properties? This was to convince him that she wasn't bothered about leaving Tallahassee. She was looking at 40 properties. And he put up an email. I was looking for it, but because I come back from holiday late today and this is going on late, like I said, I'm going to be good. I'm going to catch up and all this lot. But I've not had a chance to find it. But there was an email that she sent, and I've never seen such a basic email. She said, please can I make an appointment for a viewing? Now, a lot of the time you would do that, but I think most of the time you would just say, like, you know, is it leasehold? Is it, you know, you'd ask something. Is it freehold? Something. Or you'd say, you know, I've got a mortgage in place. Or you'd say something. The other thing is, now you tell me in the comments below, how many houses do you view before you actually buy one? I'm just interested. I mean, if you say, oh, you know, I can view 100, fine. Personally, I've probably viewed, because you usually know the area, don't you, where you want and things like that. I'm not, probably about 5. Now, I know some people that can be looking and things can fall through, and it can be 10, it can be 15, but 40. I mean, did she actually view all these properties, or did she just bang out emails left, right and centre? Yeah, and he even talked about one email, and he said, did you send this? One of them, she's like, oh no, because obviously she can't remember sending all of them. But he asked her about one of them, and she went, yes, I do remember this, because it was only a 1-bedroom or something, and I needed 2. How does she remember that? She couldn't even remember what time the murder of the children's father was. So how can she remember all that? So anyway, yeah. So yeah, 40 properties. So this was all things that were all in motion to make it look like, what? This is why we know Wendy knew. And this is why we know now that Donna and Charlie, that they was frustrated in them phone calls. You've heard them. They were frustrated where Charlie's saying, well, you know, like, what? It's like she knew. Why did she go to the crime scene? You know what that seemed to me that he was trying to do? He was trying to drop her in it, innocently not knowing, just the way she did him. That's what that was saying to me. And also, when you look at that interview again, I mean, I I watched that interview over and over, and it's amazing what you do pick up quickly. One of the things that I did pick up again watching it was when the guy in the shop who ID'd her, who said, "Oh, I need your ID," and it was a bit of a joke. She still says to Detective Adelson, "So I've shown him my ID." It was a joke. It was a joke. He was like being flirty and friendly, but she still said, "Here it is." She's well off it, honestly. But all the people that was put forward for possibly that murder, when you look, you know, Charlie, Lacaz, and then other people come to light afterwards. For Wendy, there was never really a problem of who was going to take the blame for this. She couldn't put enough people forward, not only just Charlie, but Charlie, her brother as well. So long as nobody put her forward, and so long as, you see, so long as you keep throwing people into the mix, it makes the case bigger and more difficult because there's more people to investigate. It costs more money, it takes more time. She'd know all this being a lawyer. There was quite a few people she was trying to throw into the mix. So just let me go back to those properties. When I was just telling you a few minutes ago with regards Wendy not answering these emails and everything, she did exactly the same when she was looking for a house and told her mother that she was looking for a house in Tallahassee and she was going to put an offer in and everything. So that again, that's, come on mother, G up. Have a word with Charlie, because she knew she would, and she knew she would get the effect. And didn't Donna say to Charlie, "She's just not listening to me. She's not replying." So she said that I'm going to buy a house. That means, get your ass into gear and get this job done. And that's exactly what Donna did. She went to Charlie, because Donna's stupid. She went to Charlie and told Charlie, "You need to have a word with her." And, "You're all right now, Charlie, I'll sort it out. I'll speak to her and everything." And he did. And when he went back to his mother and he said, "Yeah, it's okay, she's not going to do that now." And Donna said, "Oh, I really appreciate it." I think that conversation with Wendy involved, "Look, I'll be rid of him before the year." And I think Wendy's put pressure on and said, "Oh, look, it's all going on. I might as well just stay here." She's played him. She's played them all. In my book, that's what's happened. And then everything started getting into action then. Now, in Wendy's interview, one person that really, really irritated me, and I know she irritated a lot of you as well, was that Jane. Don't know what's happening with Jane now. I don't know if she's still on Wendy's scene or not. She probably is. I don't know. But people like that need to be very, very careful what they're doing when they're putting people's names forward, like Jeffrey Lacaz. Now, also, you'll hear Jeffrey Lacaz say that a mutual friend introduced him, and you'll hear Wendy say in her interview that she met Jeff through Jane. That's probably what Jane thinks, and that's probably what Jeffrey Lacaz thinks. But I've always said Jeffrey Lacaz and Meg Banawal were headhunted, if you like. Meg Banawal, because she's basically a thug that hangs out with thugs, with gangsters. And she likes the ka-ching. She likes the money. So she was easy. Jeffrey Lacaz, I believe, you hear Jane in the interview, she actually says he was a work colleague. I'm sure that over time, Jane's mentioned about Lacaz, or Wendy saw Lacaz on Jane's social media. And like I've always said, Jeffrey Lacaze was never in the right financial bracket for Wendy. Never. The other thing is, she was only seeing him 4 months when she was practically telling him that he was practically going to be living with her. He wanted to change his car. She didn't want him to change the car because she'd already decided that the hitman was going to hire a Prius. Right? So he was going to get like a two-seater. No. Making out we're moving forward in life together. He was going to buy a house. No. She didn't want him to do that. So she knew exactly what she was doing. Obviously, poor Jeffrey Lacaze didn't. He just kept having high hopes, and I don't know why, but he had high hopes, thinking that he was, this was all going somewhere, and she led him to believe that. Another thing that Wendy did to get a reaction as well was, you'll see that if you remember on the stand, Jeffrey Lacaze mentions about at times she would admit that she was possibly going on a date or going for a coffee with somebody, and then she would deny it. I think that was for an effect. I think that was so that because if you remember, they say he was very jealous. That was so she would have loads of text messages from him losing his shit over it, which he would. 1 minute she wasn't talking to him, and then she'd pick up with him. So you don't introduce somebody after 4 months to your kids and start talking about moving forward. So why was she moving so fast? Why was she taking him to yoga and then going a separate way afterwards? She was displaying him to everybody this is going to be the one that kills my husband. This is my boyfriend. So you can all see him, and this is what she was doing. And making out, oh yeah, he's very jealous. So she'd have it all in her phone. Yeah, he was very jealous. I mean, we all know she was involved in it anyway. It's so obvious. But really, I mean,
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's
Jane,
not right.
Who would have done this?
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff,
Who's a friend of
Us.
Jane's. And
who's jealous.
yeah.
He's Wendy, of course. I mean, they've been interviewing her as a suspect, and I have suggested Jeff Lacaze. That's my contribution, and also suggested that we get a rabbi over there.
Take care.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you coming up here and talking to her. And
And I have suggested to you that you look at Jeff Lacaze.
that's what Sarah was saying. I'm not sure who that guy is.
Well,
But
she'll tell you about it. And
is she going to tell me everything?
I imagine she will. I mean, she's been Danny's a jealous guy, Jeff is a jealous
Okay.
guy.
I can't imagine I would have said that.
And when did you break up with Mr. Lacaze, or when did the two of you break up?
It would have been end of June 2014.
So not 4 days before the murder?
No.
All right, so end of June 2014 would have been the last time you saw him.
No. I saw him after that. We were talking and kind of figuring out what we wanted to do, but we had gone on a trip to Gainesville the last weekend in June, at which point we had a big argument, and I really didn't want to be with him after that. So at that point for me, I was pretty much done, but there were more discussions until it, formally ended.
And when was the formal end?
I remember seeing him that Monday night and telling him I wanted to have some space.
Okay, so 4 days before the murder?
So 4 days before Danny was killed.
All right.
So I was just rewatching a bit of this today as well, Dan's friend Tamara Demkoff, I think. Demko. And she was like a mutual friend, but she was very much friends with Dan. And she found it very strange. I'm not going to play it all for you. It's just something. She found it very strange that Wendy, because she went to Wendy's house at the night time of the murder, and there was people all there. But she found it very strange that Wendy didn't call anybody to go and spend time with Dan, and that Jane didn't even say that neither. I've got a funny feeling about that Jane. I'm not saying she knew about it. It's just, you watch that video again. I swore that at one stage it felt like, I don't know if it felt like they were both, I don't know if it was, she was doing it out of shock, but it felt like there was a laugh. I might be wrong on that, but there was just something about Jane. I don't think for a minute Wendy would have said to her, listen, this is what I'm going to do to Dan, because yeah, she's not even admitted it to herself. She's made her brother think, why did you murder my husband? So I don't think she's done that, but I think she's roped Jane into it that much that, I mean, Jane actually said, that he was her work, that Lacasse was her work colleague, but she says it a couple of times, Jane, take a look into him. What right does she have to do that? I mean, she actually presses on it. She's also asking quite a lot of questions in there as well, that they're not obliged to answer, and she's constant at it. And Wendy sat there like the victim. Yeah. Anyway, this Tamara goes to Wendy's house and Wendy says that she's sorry. And Tamara thinks that she means she's sorry because Tamara was one of Dan's closest friends. But Wendy didn't even contact her and say, look, this has happened. Anyway, listen to what else that she has to say.
When I walked into Wendy's yesterday, and I'm assessing the situation, and Janine was there, and they went into a private conversation, and I'm sitting down, and they're like, well, does Amy, we'd have to talk to Amy, and and I said, I talked to Amy, and I said, does she know? They said, yeah, she knows. And I'm like, no, not what happened. Does she know? As if, does she know where the investigators are looking, was the implication. And I said, what do you mean? And the next question was, Wendy redirected, and she said, has she talked to her husband? And so she started down this path with Janine there of making me wonder, or wanting to make me wonder if Amy's husband was involved. I still didn't feel led that way, even with that discussion change. But that was the path. Wendy is good at keeping things close to the vest and redirecting and...
Yeah, so Tamara's on it straight away, nothing added up for her. I'm so glad she went to ISIM. She's as valuable as Lacasse in a lot of ways. So we thank people like that, don't we? Because we know that they're going to get a hard time. Not for long though, not for long. But Wendy is going to sit back and she's going to watch her mother, well, she's already watched her brother, get get sent down. She's going to watch her mother, and she'll watch her father if we get that lucky, because Harvey was involved. That's another story, but Harvey was involved. Harvey knew, like Donna knew, like Wendy knew. Wendy instigated it all. But Wendy's going to sit back and she's going to watch her mother go and do time. Because there's something not ticking right with Wendy. She's very detached. Very, very detached. You can see that. The way she a mannerisms swing so quick. She's, you know, smiling, aggressive, you know, her face is going. She's very detached. And if anybody that spends so many years in advance turning themselves into a victim, all for cash, all for ka-ching, because that's what it's for. And obviously it's, you know, to put the kids on her mother's lap while she goes off and lives the best life. Otherwise, why didn't she say to Dan, look, you know, my mum's offered this. There's a thing, sorry, the email says, I don't know if I've just covered this, the email says that it's her mum and dad, her and Charlie. When she's on the stand, she says, when Kappelman asks, who's the three? She goes, my mum, dad and Charlie. She's a blatant liar. But then Charlie kind of innocently, they all piss in the same pot, honestly, they're all as bad as each other. Then Charlie says, which Charlie is telling the truth, Kappelman asks, who's the three? And she says, oh, my mum and dad, myself, and I was going to loan Wendy the money. And it was, if you can see it, I'll put it up, you can see it. It was the three of them. The three lots, the mum and dad, which proves Charlie was involved. Otherwise, how do you put his name forward? Anyway, right, so the other thing that I just want to, I don't know much about this because I know this has been in the last couple of weeks, but I believe like she's to Texas. So, and I don't know if I read somewhere to her cousins. And, you know, when I heard that, I thought, that's it, involves somebody else. Involves somebody else. And I bet they've got kids, because if it's your cousin, they're going to be around about your age, and probably they've got kids and a family. Just like Denise Williams did with her sister and brother-in-law, and they had a kid. If you remember, she involved them when she was going, because this is what they do. And Denise Williams was this victim going around everybody. Oh, I don't really know, Your Honour. All I'm guilty of is not understanding that I'm better off than most people. That's what she said in court to Judge Hankinson. And all this like rubbish. And Wendy's the same. Wendy pours out this so much rubbish. So now, if it is a cousin, she's going to put this on another family's doorstep. And quite honestly, that family, you know, if they care about the kids, should be turning her around and pushing her out the door. If I'm right, and that's where she's gone. I don't know. Put your answers below, your comments below. More, you know, I need more information on that. Like I said, I've been away a week, and I know it happened before I went away, but things was happening. And just to say, if she is there already and Harvey's still here, what did Harvey have? Brain cancer, and she was all upset about that, which she didn't. That was rubbish, we know. But so yeah, and he's nearly 80 and she's done one with the kids, so he don't get to see the kids now. Obviously Donna won't, Charlie won't, which we're all glad about. I don't care about Harvey. He's in this knee deep with the rest of them. But what was all this for? So now she's not in Miami. She's not in Miami. She don't see her brother, which she didn't care about anyway. He was there for a purpose, Dumbo. A mother or a father, and now she's at her cousin's doorstep. I keep saying that because that's all I've read. But honestly, tell me as much as you can on it. Yeah. And you know what? She doesn't deserve anything better. But if she has got a cousin, I would have, obviously her cousin has agreed to let her do this because she's packed up and gone. She didn't sell a house though, has she? She's put it up for rent. So she's not 100%. I mean, we need to get it clear to her, because for some reason she's not 100% in her head that she's going down, unless she's gone to the cousins, if it is the cousin that keeps saying, to settle the lads in there to live there. And this is going to be a transition for them because she knows she's going down. Anything but let the Markels have him. I'm hoping that there's some kind of law anyway. But, you know, I meant to say this about the kids, you know, with Denise Williams' daughter, it happened when she was a baby. So she's grown up hearing, you know, or thinking, you know, that her gran was wicked, evil gran and all this lot. So she was indoctrinated. Listen, that child now is like 21, so she can use her own head. No, she's not. She's a lot older than that now. So, and she did end up with all the insurance money because it was handed over to her and everything. But to be fair, and she's still not gone to see her grandmother. And you could say, well, she's been indoctrinated. Yeah, she has. But there's also enough on the internet. She can see her. She can see her. She's not a child anymore. Now, what I'm hoping is that because Dan's children are his children, and he was a very intelligent man, that those two lads are going to have enough about him to question and to see it for what it is. I don't know, because they're going to have been indoctrinated. I don't know why she thinks taking them to Texas. Does she think as well that it's, you know, it's going to get them away from here? Is that what she's going to say? To move them away from it all? It's on the internet, love. It's not just in Florida. I'm in the UK and I'm going on about it. So there you go. Anyway, that's it. I'm sure there was loads more, you know, that I had to tell you. I've just got like bits of notes that I don't even look at it when I get going. You know, I just see bits. Anyway, that's it. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to probably pop something on in the week, just a few little things as well. So yeah. So yeah, tell me what you think. Where you think it is she's gone, because I know yous will know. And let me know. Give me a name for this owl here. Can't be Wendy. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna say good night, stay safe, take care, bye bye.